Good morning, friends. Okay, so we have a crazy day. I'm gonna explain everything to you. It is now the next day of the footage you're about to see, but yes, we spent 12 hours in the emergency room with my husband. So we've got to hurry. We've got more appointments and stuff we have to get to right now, but I just wanted to share real quick. I got some footage, but let me explain what's going on. I'm gonna share it with you guys. Okay, so background story. A couple years ago, my husband was having a lot of pain. He never goes to the doctor. It's not his thing. Probably hasn't been to the doctors in about 20 something years. So, was having a lot of pain. Couldn't figure it out. We thought maybe he pulled a muscle or did something. Our son's helping him like rub it to see if they can make it better. They hear a pop. Next thing we know, he's in incredible pain. He can't stop vomiting. It's a hot mess. We get him to the emergency room. The first emergency room was like, oh yeah, you must have strained a muscle, do some stretches. They sent him home. We go back and we're like, hey, that was before the thing popped, right? Then we go back after that. There's a pop, he's vomiting, he can't stop. We go in, his gallbladder has exploded. He's going septic. It's like a whole big thing. We're in the hospital for a week. He has multiple procedures. It's like, it was a lot, okay? So he's been having some pain here lately to the point, oh, my hair's a mess, to the point that he was like, you know what, make me some appointments. I need to do something about this. So I called and made appointments. We go in next week. Well, the pain kept getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And he really isn't feeling well. And so he woke me up yesterday morning, super early, and goes, I think you need to take me to the hospital. Something's wrong. Like, I don't feel good. His face is beet red. His hands are super white. Something's wrong. We get up, we get ready. We head off to the hospital. We go to one hospital, a town over, because the doctor that he's going to be seeing, that's their network. So we go there. We're like, let's just go there, and then it's all in the same system. We are there for hours upon hours upon hours. They run CT, they do some different things. He has a massive kidney stone stuck in his kidney. He also has a mass growing on his kidney, and it looks like he's got some hepatitis A. So that would explain the fever, you know, nausea, you know, some of these different things, right? So he's got to get through that. They tell us, hey, you know, you're going to have to follow up with urology because you need to get this mass and this kidney stone dealt with. Okay. We leave, we come back, and he's like, but I'm not feeling good. Like something's wrong. And so I'm pulling out his paperwork from the hospital. The hospital's kind of short-staffed and they were really busy. So they kind of just like, it was what it was. I'm looking at his paperwork and his blood pressure is like through the roof. It's bad. And so we run into the store and I go, hey, let's just go over to like the pharmacy thing and recheck your blood pressure to see what it's at. It's still really bad. So we go, okay, this is crazy. Let's eat a little something. We haven't eaten anything today. Like, let's just eat a quick bite. Ate a sandwich from Subway. Let's go home, make sure kids, you know, my brother stayed home with the kids. He took care of them. He was amazing. And we said, let's just go to the emergency room at the hospital here in town. So we get to the second hospital. They understand, like, okay, they figured out, you know, there's a massive stone and a mass, like, okay, we got that. But he's telling me, he's like, but I feel like my blood pressure's through the roof. I feel dizzy, I'm foggy, you know, all these things. They were amazing. And they were like, all right, let's get in here and let's check all the heart stuff out, right? Let's rule out any possible anything. And so then we stayed, like I said, for like a good 6 hours. And they ran every test, did everything. He did a chest x-ray, you know, he did all of the different things. They went ahead and gave him some medication to kind of help his heart just do all the stuff because his blood pressure was so incredibly high, which obviously the pain and everything would, you know, add to. So we clocked in, walked into our first hospital at 8:33. When we got in and sitting, I sent my first message to someone at 8:33. We were leaving the second hospital at 8:37 last night. So like nearly to the minute, exactly 12 hours from emergency room to emergency room. But it means now that we know that, yes, blood pressure needs to be addressed. Yes, hepatitis A is going to be causing, you know, some of these things, and that's kind of just a waiting game to get that out of your system. And then we've got to get to urology to figure out this whole kidney stone, kidney mass, all of that stuff there. So luckily there is like one urologist in their system that's in our area. And when I first called, they were like, oh my gosh, he's super booked and he's not even here right now. And so I explained to them, you know, we're in the hospital right now. This is what they're saying they're finding. We need to get this figured out. They shared that with the doctor when he got back, and had him call us back right away and let us know that he would get us in this morning, you know, the next morning he would get us in so we could get this going. So very thankful. He sounds like a great doctor. That's where we're going to be headed now because we've got to figure out how to deal with this kidney stone. It is so big that if it were to block up his kidney, obviously we'd be in a pretty bad situation in that. So we want to get that taken care of and then figure out what the heck this mass is, because nobody likes to hear they have a mass on anything. So figuring out what it would be, top priority. And there was a situation towards the end of it where a teenage girl had, you know, they're wheeling her in. And by the time we were in the second hospital, all the rooms were full. So we're literally on a bed in the hallway. So we're just kind of watching the whole, I mean, we're there for over 6 hours and you're just watching the whole events of life of a hospital, you know, unfold before you. And there's this teenage girl they wheeled in and she's crying, her mom's with her, you know, the whole thing. And with the room they took her into, it's right there where we are. So, I mean, we're moving out of their way and they're coming in and out, all kinds of stuff is going on. And come to find out, this girl took a bottle of prescription medication and her mom found her in a room with the empty bottle, and it's just, you know, this whole thing. And so they're trying to get her, you know, they're having to get her to confess to what it was that she took so they can treat her properly and do all of that. And we're just sitting there, and then, you know, the mom and dad are taking turns coming in and out. The mom's bawling her eyes out. This girl's crying, you know, the whole thing is just unfolding. And as we left the hospital, the dad was standing outside with what must have been her little sister. And we heard her just as we walked by going, you know, is she okay? Why did this happen? You know, just asking these questions. And, you know, it just made me think, like, what's going on in your life? I think just the summary of most of the people we saw throughout the day, from a nurse who's talking to us about how her husband just left her. They've been married for 20 years, and then he had an affair with some young girl who was hardly older than their son, and adult son, but still, like, they're going through it, and they're just, and it's like, it's so hopeless. This world is so hopeless. And we came home last night, and we were just praying for these people that we had ran into in the hospital yesterday, and it just made me think back, that girl, I just can't get her off my mind, because I remember being a teenage girl and feeling like life was so hopeless. I remember taking handfuls of pills at different times. Not that I was suicidal, but I was so upset and was struggling so much in life. I remember just taking a bunch of pills, just, I want almost to feel something. I used to take razor blades even, and would, cut my arms and legs. And it was just that feeling of being so hopeless and so hurt and just struggling so much and not knowing where to go or what to do. Even though I went to a Christian school and I grew up in a Christian home and all of those other great things, feeling like life was so hopeless, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I just wanted to feel like something was real. And so watching that girl, it just stood out to me so much, and going, oh my gosh, what is going on that you feel like life is so hopeless? And it just made me so sad. And it's just still, just praying for her and her family, seeing her mom crying and her dad. I can't imagine going through what they're going through. Her little sister, all of it. And just really praying for the Lord to use that in some way to bring them to truth. And it made me think, sometimes we go, why hasn't Jesus returned? Like, I know the Bible says, Paul tells us, to the Lord, 1,000 years, to us it might be like 1,000 years, but to the Lord it's only a few days, right? We see these different things, and it's not that God's being slow, he's being gracious, right? He's giving us opportunity. But as I was thinking about this last night, and I was just so sad thinking about this girl and going, what is it that, like, because I remember feeling that way. What is it in her life that has her feeling that way? Just praying for her over that. And it made me really go, oh my gosh, God is waiting for that right time when Christ raptured the church, Christ returned, right? All of that. Yes. And he's doing that, right? And it's by his grace. But I never stopped to think about how difficult that must be for him. He is showing us grace by giving us an opportunity, right, to come to true saving knowledge of Christ and not endure the wrath and all of that, right? But can you imagine how much it must hurt him to see his creation made in his image so lost, so hopeless, so far from his truth? And I know that's what is popular in the world, right? That's what our kids are hearing. That's what media is producing. That's what everything is saying. And just stopping to think about how hard that must be on the Lord to watch this young girl swallow a complete bottle of pills. To see there was this 98-year-old couple in there. And the man brought the woman in because she was just so sad and so depressed. She started bawling her eyes out during the intake with the nurse. The nurse stopped and was hugging her and praying with her. And it was so, it's what's great about living in the South in a small town, because you do see a lot of this still, but just praying with her and telling her to lean on the Lord and trust in that. But just hearing that, 98 years old. And she's going, everything, it's just so much and can be so hopeless. And how hard that must be for the Lord to see us go through that. And then how much harder when so often we go through that because we don't trust in him. It just, for me last night, was so much. So that was our day. 12 hours in emergency rooms. A lot of heartache of the world. And now some big, scary medical things that we have to address. So we came home last night, we spent some time with the kids, stayed up late and snuggled them. Our house is a wreck. It was really hard for our kids. We had some tears last night, and we just reassured everyone that, one, God's got this. That's where we trust. We are not hopeless. Number 2, answers are always better than no answers. Even if the answers are scary answers, answers are always better than no answers. So we'll take that. Next step, we got to get to the urologist. We got to figure out what the heck is going on. We need to know what this mass is. We need to deal with this kidney stone so we don't have some major issues, major issues. And then we need to get to the primary doctor. We're having some serious conversations about diet. We gotta get this blood pressure under control because we need his heart to keep on keeping on. And at the rate it's going, it's not gonna be too happy in a while. So that was our day. Prayers are greatly appreciated. I'm exhausted. But anyways, I'm in here chatting with y'all. We gotta get to the doctors. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have some form of update. Even if we don't have answers, at least we can have like a, this is what we're doing to get to the point of answer. So my mug for the day. I will see you guys right back here tomorrow. Love you guys. Remember, there's always hope. Hope in Christ alone. That's where it comes from. We don't have to give up. We don't have to be hurt. Life is difficult, yes. But when we stay heavenly minded, it makes a big difference. You guys are amazing. If you want something else to watch, check out this video right here. Otherwise, tap the subscribe button before you go. I'm going to get to the doctors, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends.